Welcome to the Your Leadership Legacy podcast. My name is Tina Paulus-Krause, and I'm so excited to bring you this next podcast dedicated to you high performers out there who want to reinvent yourself, reinvent your business, maybe your career, all of it. This podcast is all about being dedicated to transformation and being the best possible leader of yourself and others that you can be in order to create a legacy that lives on. Welcome to Your Leadership Legacy. My name is Tina Paulus-Krause. I am the founder and CEO of True You Teams. And here we go. Hey everyone, welcome to Your Leadership Legacy. My name is Tina Paulus-Krause, and I have a dear friend on the show today that I'm super excited about, Karen Seltz. Karen is a dear friend. Karen is powerful. Karen is up to big things in her life, and I can't wait for everyone to meet her. So let's welcome Karen. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Tina. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited. I've been watching you grow this, and it's such an honor to be here.
Oh yeah, you've been definitely on my list. I gotta get Karen on because you are like, here's what I love. Actually, I'm not even gonna go there first. I want you to tell people about who you are and your background, and then I can't wait to let people know what you're up to. So let us know, who is Karen?
Oh, that's such a big question. Who am I today, or who have I become throughout my journey?
Yes, that's so juicy.
Yeah, so I'll say, like, I started my entrepreneurial journey about 6-7 years ago, and it was prompted by the death of my mother because she left me some money. And for as long as I can remember, I wanted to be a public speaker. And that voice inside kept saying, who are you? What do you have of value to share? And I hid. And I stayed in an unfulfilling job for 20 years where I was not seen at all. I mean, I was essentially hidden. And when my mom died, she left me some money. And then these synchronicities started to line up, and I found myself in a coaching program for entrepreneurs. And it was through that program that I actually met you. And the journey was interesting. Like, one of the things that this coach asked us to do was to make a 2-minute video to promote something we were doing. And me, in my perfectionist ways, where I used to be, I did over 300 takes for this 2-minute video. And I was so tied to the script being perfect and being perfectly delivered that I, as a person, as a personality, you know me, like I'm very fun, I'm very passionate, I'm very vivacious. I was completely missing. So anybody who I attracted through that video was attracted to this facade of me that was not real. It was the mask I was wearing. And fast forward, when I started to do promotions for events I was doing, I'm like, okay, let's play one take, let's see what happens.
I love it. Yeah.
And when I would mess up, which inevitably I did, because I was still like trying to think of the script, I would laugh. I'm like, easy for me to say. And I just kept going, and I used it. And then I would attract people that wanted that freedom to be themselves. And so, connecting the dots, looking backward, I realized that I am here to teach authenticity, to teach divine expression. And the only way to really attract your ideal clients, if you're a coach or an entrepreneur, healer, is to let people see you, the real you, the you that you don't want them to see, the you that's not pretty, the you that's not polished, the you that F's up, like the real you. Because otherwise, you're attracting people that aren't really attracted to you, not the real you.
I love the perfectionism, right? Like perfectionism. And so talk to us about perfectionism, like 300 takes. First of all, how long did it take you to create that video? Like 300 takes. Think about the time and energy, right? When you could have really been standing in your truth through all that. So talk to us about that. Because perfectionism, I don't care who I coach, like it's always there. Like it's always there. It's bred into us. So talk to us a little bit about how you overcame that.
Yeah. It was really through spiritual practice. And, you know, I teach people this all the time. It's so simple. When you go to speak, instead of what does your hair look like? What does your makeup look like? What are the words you're going to say exactly? take a breath and ask some simple questions. Like, here's what I do. I pray to whoever I pray to, doesn't matter. Get me out of the way and speak through me. Who gets to hear this message? Who am I here to serve? And I think about one person that's in pain, like I used to be, because being stuck in that perfectionism, for example, it's freaking painful because I was hiding. I kept getting smaller and smaller. And then I was also judging people that were out there doing the thing I wanted to do.
Yeah.
When I was afraid to do it. It's like Brene Brown talks about, like, I was sitting in the bleachers judging the people on the field. Well, that doesn't work, not for very long. So for me, when I am nervous, I am thinking about myself, period. If I'm nervous to speak, who am I making it about?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm concentrating on how can I serve, I am not nervous. And I just allow what I call the divine to flow through me. And then also the beautiful thing, like perfectionism is really a big fear of being judged or not being accepted, not being loved. And then for me, it was reinforcing those stories, like, you're not lovable, you're not enough. So when I am thinking about serving somebody else, I'm not nervous, right? And I'm also not attached to, oh, did they think that was brilliant? Or did that help? Or did I make a difference even? Because in that sentence, again, it's about me. When I'm 100% focused on somebody else, then I can be present for them. I'm not thinking, okay, what am I going to say next? How are they going to respond to this? Yeah. And the perfectionism just disappears.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing you say is, I'm hearing you say practice, first of all, even in the beginning when we were talking about it, like that stuff just didn't come natural, right? We have to practice and practice and practice and all of that. But what I really heard you say, Karen, was grounded and intention. So like, when grounded in what is my intention right now, and just when that's the focus, then you can let all the other stuff go. So talk to us a little bit about the practice. Was the practice perfect?
No, I remember, like, when I first started coaching, I would hear guidance, and I'm very auditory with my guidance. Like, some people can see it, they have visions, or they have bodily sensations. I'm mostly auditory. So I'd hear this voice and I'd be like, oh crap, I can't say that. They're going to fire me. And I was so afraid to follow that guidance because I was in lack mentality. But here's the thing, people were getting like really mediocre results or no results because I would water down what I would hear and try to tell them what they wanted to hear. Well, that's not a good coach. Like, that a coach tells you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
Yeah.
So
that's why we hire them.
Yeah, exactly. And I was attached to what they thought of me. I was attached to being liked. I was attached to them continuing to pay me. So when I noticed, like, people are not getting results, I'm like, okay, I'll say the thing. And so I remember the first time I was so scared, Tina. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going to happen, because some people think like spiritual guidance or whatever, if it's coming from God or the divine, it's going to be sweet and loving. Well, I thought I knew what sweet and loving meant, and I don't know what loving means. So that was a big thing, is like for me to admit my ignorance of thinking I know what everything means or what everything is for. So I'm like, okay, I'll say the thing. And it was harsh to my human ear. It was like, I cannot believe I'm going to say this. And it might have contained some swear words, because for some reason, my spiritual guidance often does when I'm coaching people, which is also surprising to some people. So yeah. I remember saying the thing, and it was like in slow motion. I watched the words. I saw the vibration of them as they hit this woman. And it was like a gut punch in slow motion. I saw her like, it was like, I was like, but then it didn't take long, probably a millisecond. There was like this crack went up her facade, and it fell down, and she started to cry. And she said, I'll never forget this. She said, you're the first person that's ever seen me. And she said, it's been taking so much energy and so much effort to carry this armor and to keep this mask up. And now I feel like I don't have to.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy, okay, got it.
Yep. So that worked, right? Like it's being super aware of what works and what doesn't work, because transformation requires disruption.
Yeah.
Right? Like transformation requires disruption. And sometimes the coach gets to be the disruption. We get to say the words that no one else is willing to say, but it comes from a place of love. So talk to us about being powerful, because what I heard you say is that you chose to be powerful in what was really happening. But how, when we combine power and love, like this magic formula. So, and I know that you're like a rock star at that. So talk to us about how you combine those two things in your coaching.
Yeah. Well, my intention is 100% always to be love in form, be love in a body, always, wherever I go. That is my intention. And I get confirmation of that. I told a story the other day on my TV show that I did hot yoga class. So I live in Phoenix, where it's already 115 degrees.
You guys just went outside.
Yeah, exactly. But I did a hot yoga class. So I was all sweaty and disgusting. And I went to Costco for gas. And at the end of the class in the Savasana, I was like, I do this meditation. It's you breathe in, I accept, you breathe out the love of God. And that transmuted into, I breathe in the love of God, I breathe out the love of God. And my intention was seeing everyone in that room just like blanketed in this divine love, so they could take it with them and then be that for everyone else. So they could feel it and then be it. And I was like in this love bubble. And Costco hires people with fuel degrees to work at the gas stations. I don't know if anyone knew that. But this guy comes up to me. He's like, oh my gosh. He's like, you are radiating love. He was an employee.
Aww.
I'm like, oh my gosh. You felt that? He's like, oh yeah, from all the way over there. I'm like, yeah. And so that's how it is. And that is now, most of the time, what colors my reality. That's what I experience. I experience people that are loving. And if they're not loving, then they're calling out for love. And how can I be that? How can I just pause and see them? How can I give them love and to reflect back to them who they are, which is that love? So for me, it's a daily practice. I practice it all day, like whenever I remember, but certainly in the morning, I do a practice where I am inviting in that divine love. And really, it's always there for us, but are we accepting it? So again, the meditation is I accept the love of God.
What's so crazy, what's coming up for me as you say that is it's easy to be love when things are great, right? Like it's easy to show up from a loving place when things are great. When things aren't great, like when somebody's yelling at you at the car station, right? Or when somebody's showing up not in love and stuff like that, like it's the practice is being neutral, because when you can stand in that place of love and be neutral in whatever reaction is coming at you, that's when you start to have that ripple effect. So talk to us about, like, in that situation, what is the opposite of how you handled it? Because I think that people just need to like see the different ways to handle it. We're so used to having a reaction and matching the energy. So somebody comes at us not in love, they're mad, they're upset, whatever it is. What I heard you say is you stand there from a neutral space and you're still loved no matter how people are coming at you. So again, how did you go from a space of, now I'm part of that reaction to no, I just get to stand and be loved? Because that's not an easy transition to make. I think that sometimes we think it's easy, but it's not easy.
Well, Tina, I wish it were that easy. I wish I were that person. I'm not quite there yet. So sometimes I'm able to see it, right? Like, especially if it's strangers and I have no attachment to them, it's easier for me to take a breath. So I'm going to give you an example. I posted a reel on YouTube short, and somebody wrote, feelings are for women and children. Why don't you go get a job or something like that? And I'm like, at first I thought it was hilarious because, hello, I am a woman. And I just thought it was funny. But then I sat with it. I'm like, what's really true? what is really true that's always true? Well, here's what I know. Everything that someone does is either an extension of love or a call for love. Was this person extending love? No. Did this person say, gosh, I need love? Yeah. Yeah. So I thought, okay, what's true for me? Because I'm not going to say something that's not true for me because he will feel it. So, so I'm an entrepreneur, right? And I know about the algorithm. Anytime someone comments, more people are going to see my video. So I'm like, thank you so much for taking the time to comment. I appreciate you. That was what was true for me. And he said, thank you for taking the time to respond to my comment. And I wrote, of course, you matter. And he said, thank you. You matter too. So I took a hater I made 2 comments that came from my heart. They were genuine. They were not BS. And I turned that situation into love. Now, did I do it right away? No, I paused because at first I thought it was really funny. Now, some people might take it personally I personally thought it was funny, but it wasn't funny. When I got down to it, like this person was calling out, like, I'm in pain, I need love. That's not funny. So the biggest advice I could give to people would be to pause when you are agitated, or like for me, my big thing is I'm right about something. That's my big, like, flashing neon sign, like, okay, back up.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Back up the bus. Okay. If I'm right, that means someone else is wrong, which is impossible.
Yeah.
In my spiritual view. So it's just pause. And if you're about to say something unkind, take a breath. And if you can boil it down to those 2 simple elements, am I seeing this person who is triggering me, right? Like, what is it that I'm here to learn? And what can I teach by being? So if you can teach how to be loving by being loving, first to yourself, be loving to yourself, because our initial responses are not always pretty, like in our heads, right? Or even out loud. Even out loud, sometimes we blow it and we get to clean it up. We know about that. But really think about, is this an extension of love or a call for love? It's that simple.
It's really that simple. So I love the pause, like a pause and that power question. So when I feel like I want to react, right? When I feel like I want to blow a comment or energy or whatever back at somebody else, I get to just stop myself and breathe and say, is this a call for love right now?
And, leadership question, like, who do I choose to be in this moment? What do you know to be true about yourself? That's always true. Like, I go back to those truths all the time. Like, I am as I was created. There's no other possibility. Sometimes, often, I forget that. I forget the truth of who I am, and I behave like a jerk. And then I clean it up. And then hopefully next time I catch it quicker.
Yeah. So when you say cleaning it up, I love that you brought this forward. I trained a class the other day on this. So when you say cleaning it up, what does that look like? What does that mean?
So in transformation, we call it a clearing conversation. In 12 step, we might call it making amends. And it's not necessarily saying I'm sorry. It is being responsible for your actions. It is taking ownership. It's, I did this thing. And my guess is that it affected you this way and this way and this way. Am I leaving anything out? And then it's thinking, like, how can I make that better? Well, one way is to acknowledge that you did it, because most of the time people don't. And then to make a commitment to not do it going forward, to do something else, and make a commitment to the type of relationship you want to have moving forward. Like when I yell at my kids, for example, I say, I never should have yelled at you. You do not deserve that. You deserve better. No matter what, you do not deserve to be treated that way. And I am committed moving forward to take a breath. You did not do this to me. You did not make me do this. It was my spiritual unfitness, right? Like it was it's all on me.
Yeah.
Because we
Yeah.
don't
So what I hear,
I will never do that.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I love that. So it's acknowledging, like I acknowledge this is how it made me feel. This is why it happened. And here's what I'm committed to moving forward. Right.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's that kind of a process, and it's really just coming from your heart. And so I wish I would have had that tool when my kids were young. Through my process of transformation, one of the things that I was pretending not to know was that I yelled at my kids like terribly, and my husband, right? And I would be such a pressure cooker inside that when something would go down, they would be the ones that would get the brunt of it. And so the clearing, I love that you brought up the clearing conversation, because I think it will help people out there really understand that, like, yeah, we're not perfect. We're not perfect. Sometimes we react. And when that reaction happens, it's literally just, I acknowledge my reaction. This is what got in the way, and here's what I'm committed to moving forward, right? And that's exactly what you said when you gave your example. So I love that you gave that. It's a tool. Tools matter.
Yeah.
I think talk about some of the tools, like what are some of the big tools that you use today that support you to stay grounded and in your way of being?
Yeah. One of the biggest things I do as part of my daily spiritual practice is I follow the teachings and the meditations of Dr. Joe Dispenza. And this man is so heart-centered. And it's so funny because you can't see it. Like, I look for it on his interviews, his podcasts. I'm like, where is his heart? Like, he doesn't show that. But at his events, I've been to 3 week-long advanced retreats and 1 advanced follow-up retreat. That's 4 days. He has the biggest heart, and he healed his body from being a paraplegic. Like, he was paralyzed from the neck down. He was injured in a triathlon. He was hit by a semi-truck in the bike portion. And because he knew the mechanics of the spine, he put it together with his mind. And he has a thirst for knowledge. So he takes all these concepts and puts them together in something that everybody can use. And he doesn't talk down to people. He's like, you are smart enough to learn this. And the second you can explain it to somebody else, you've got it. And people are changing their entire bodies, not in one meditation. People do the work over and over. And then in one meditation, they get a new body, but they never know when it's coming. And they are not thinking about that anymore because they're just so happy. So I was telling you before we got on, when I committed to doing his meditations every single day, I became the happiest person that I know for no reason. I'm just happy to be alive.
You choose to be, right? Because
Yeah.
you choose to be.
Well, plus I'm connecting to the truth, and we're connecting at a level that is beyond the 3D. It's beyond the senses. It is pure consciousness. It is pure truth. And in that realm, there is no lack. There is no suffering. There's only love. There's only potential. There's only possibility. So what are you choosing? Like you're saying, like, what are you choosing? I'm choosing to be happy. I'm choosing to be healthy.
Yeah.
And I love being a part of his community.
Yeah. I mean, I think what comes up for me when you go there is that no matter what's going on in our life, right? I mean, everybody has a story, right? Everybody comes from whatever they come from, and the trauma and the tragedy and whatever it looks like. Sometimes it's unhealthy body, like whatever that is, no matter where you're at in your life, it's a choice. It's a choice to say, look, I choose to show up differently. And then go get the support that you need to actually make it happen. Because I know for me, like once I understood that there were tools out there, that's great that there's tools out there. I still get to practice implementing them. So that's where like the community comes in. That's what I hear you saying, is like this community really supports you no matter where you're at, to really understand those tools and to start showing up in a different way. I mean, you put a practice of meditation in place, his meditations, and you committed to it and you got consistent, and then you started seeing daily difference. You started seeing your life and you started showing up differently. So talk to us about the choice, because it's a choice, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a choice. I like that. And here's the thing, it's like 95% of who we are is unconscious. So most of us are not at choice in what we're doing. Like consciously, we think we are in charge. But if you look at your actions, you look at your thoughts, 80 to 90% of all of it, your thoughts, your actions, your emotions, are exactly the same as what you did yesterday. And your body is full of all these chemicals that are addictive. So if you have a habit of being a victim, if you create like situation after situation and you're like, why is this happening to me? It's an addiction, and it sucks to hear that. It really does. But the only way to break it is to start to become conscious of it and to start to train your mind to notice what you're no longer a match to, what you will no longer stand for, and to train it to start looking for what you want. Because there's tons of evidence that will support whatever story you're choosing to believe. But when you're focusing on show me all the things that go wrong so I can feed this chemical addiction, and it is a chemical addiction, because when you feel those, you will have corresponding thoughts, and those corresponding thoughts will create the same emotions, which create those chemicals. And it's this cycle, and it's really difficult to break. So when you're first doing this and you say, okay, show me every time I'm being a victim, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I am doing this all the time. And be careful of making that mean something about you.
Yeah, totally. I love
because
that.
it doesn't. It does not mean anything about you. It means that this is how you've been operating. Now you are taking your power back. You're becoming conscious of that so that you can change it. And it is not easy. It's like training an animal. You train a horse, you ride it for the first time, it's going to buck. And
you're unlearning all the programming to relearn new.
And the ego masquerades as logic all the time. So it's going to say, if you do this, you're going to die. If you do this, no one's going to like you anymore. You're going to lose everything if you do this. And it comes up with all these reasons, justifications, and excuses. And we believe them 90% of the time. So we go back unconscious. Because
I love that
change is not easy.
No,
it's simple.
No, it's not. And I love that you brought up conscious versus unconscious, because I think that we talk about consciousness a lot, but not everybody really understands like what that means. So talk to us a little bit, like when you say conscious versus unconscious, what's the difference between those two?
So conscious is what you are aware of, what you know you believe about life, about yourself. And unconscious is everything else. So if you look, the easiest way to see this is in your projections. So if I ask you, like, tell me about yourself, what characteristics do you have? Or, tell me about what you look like. You know all those things. And then if I say, well, what do you really believe? You'd be like, well, I don't know. That's what I really believe. Okay, well, tell me about the person that triggers you the most, either positively or negatively. And you can tell me all these things, like she thinks she's smarter than everybody else. She's overweight. She's underweight. She's a show off. She's selfish. She's whatever. All of your projections about other people, whether you consider them to be positive or negative, those are your subconscious beliefs about yourself.
Powerful.
Let that sink in. Those are your subconscious beliefs about you, because there is nothing you can see that is outside of you. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
So I love that. So if you're Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Karen.
I would say everything you see and perceive, like you see a celebrity, you're like, oh, I could never be that confident. Bullshit. You are that. You have that inside of you. You wouldn't see it. It's impossible.
I love that it comes up in judgment, right? Like when we're aware of our judgments. So if I'm aware, okay, I'm judging somebody now. What am I judging them about? Oh yeah, I need to turn a mirror around, because that's how I judge myself as well, is what I heard you say. So, I mean, we're in such a judgment heavy society, right? We judge ourselves, we judge everyone else. And so what I'm hearing you say is when we're in that judgment, just being unattached to it and noticing it. Oh, I'm judging right now. Interesting. What am I judging in this about myself? And instead of like really focusing on the judgment out, like turn that judgment around and focus in. That's how we begin to heal, because we start being aware of it. And now when we're aware of it, we can start to change it.
Yeah. And I would go even further than that, because there is a lesson in every single thing you see, every judgment. There's a part of you, like we said, it's a call for love. There's a part of you that's saying, can you love me when I'm selfish? Am I still lovable when I'm selfish? And the answer to whatever the question is always yes. Every single part of you is lovable. It's Carl Jung. It's like we live in a holistic society, we all have every single characteristic within us. And if we want to fully embody any positive, and I put it in quotes, air quotes, any positive characteristic, we must be willing to fully embody the negative. So one that I was always running from was selfish, because in my family, that meant to me, like, you're not lovable. If you're selfish, you only care about yourself, you don't deserve to take up air or space. Well, I ran from that. And so I was a people pleaser. I gave everything to everyone except for me, which told me subconsciously that I didn't matter. I wasn't enough. My needs came last, if at all. But on the flip side, I had nothing left to give. So I could not be generous. And everything I gave was like not, when we talk about intention, it wasn't with a pure heart. It wasn't out of love. It's out of obligation. It was out of trying to get love. So when I could say, okay, come here, you're okay to be selfish. When is it good to be selfish? Like, what's a gift of being selfish? Well, that means I love myself. That means I value myself. That means I get to choose where I place my energy and attention. I get to choose who I give to.
Yeah, I love it. Reframing those things. Yeah, it's beautiful. So the name of this podcast, Karen, is Your Leadership Legacy, because legacy is so important, especially in the work that you're doing. So what is the legacy that Karen is leaving?
Yeah, it's beautiful. My legacy is showing people how to be authentic, how to show people all of you, the good, the bad, the ugly, and to know that every single part of you is worthy and lovable. And you have a unique gift that only you can bring into the world. And it is up to you to uncover everything that is not love, all the barriers to allowing that gift to be expressed. And that is what I teach people, is how to uncover that and how to fully step into their dharma, their purpose. Like, this is what you're here to do. And only you can do it. There's no one else that has your purpose.
Yeah.
So
I think it's
I do a lot of those, block clearing things that physiologically clear the blocks, and then give people the practice, step outside their comfort zone. You know about that, stretching more and more and more until they become comfortable serving and expressing the divine through them.
Yeah. Unlearning and relearning. I love it. It's amazing, because a lot of the times what I find is people want to. It's not like they don't want to. Like, I get that I'm unconscious right now and I want to be conscious. I just don't know how to get there. Yeah. That's where you come in. That's where the coaching comes in. That's where the practice comes in. You don't have to know it all, right? Like, again, that perfection piece that holds us back from changing is, I should know it all before I move. And it's no, you get to commit and then find the resources and the tools and the people that will support you to get where you're wanting to go. So how can people find you, Karen?
Yes. I want to say one more thing about what you just said. My business mentor, James Wedmore, says action creates clarity. And that goes so well with what you just said. So we get to take action, and that will give us more clarity on our next step. So people can find me at KarenSeltz.com. And it's that simple. And I also want to say, if I may, I have a 5-day challenge coming up.
Yeah.
It's called the Authenticity Advantage 5-day Video Mastery Challenge. And it's going to be great. It's going to give people, uncovering some of those blocks and really disintegrating them, dissolving them, and giving people the opportunity to stretch, to show up on video, to be themselves, to be nervous, to be cheered on, to be loved up exactly as they are. And I want to invite people to that. It'll be in August.
I love it. We'll go ahead and put the link in everything as we start to post all of it and all that kind of stuff. So I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for being on. Thank you for your service. Thank you for caring. Thank you for just being an amazing human and changing the world, Karen. Like, even just watching you and how you've risen, and we've known each other now for, 4 or 5 years, and it's been really incredible to watch your growth and what you're creating in the world, because it's massive and it's world changing. And I want to acknowledge you for that, because that's hard work, really hard work. So It's been really fun to just, I don't know, you're a good friend and it's fun collaborating with you. So thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you so much for having me, Tina. It's really an honor to be here with you and yeah, just to be in your space. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Bye. All right, everyone. Go find Karen. She's amazing. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time on Your Leadership Legacy. Bye. My name is Tina Paulus-Krause, and I thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. Check out our programs and events at trueyouteams.com. And until next time, make it an amazing day.